As the UK enters its fourth week in lockdown, ministers are reviewing the measures imposed to try to curb the spread of coronavirus. Another 717 people have died of the virus in the UK, bringing the total number of deaths in the country to 11,329. And there are now nearly 90,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus. On the lockdown, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon has said that while there are optimistic signs that it's working, until there's solid evidence, it's unlikely that restrictions will be lifted. It comes as one of the European countries worst hit by the pandemic, Spain, relaxes some of the restrictions it announced last month, allowing manufacturing and construction workers to return. And an NHS boss has warned that the number of protective gowns available to frontline NHS staff in parts of the UK has become critically low in recent days. Well, our health correspondent, Catherine Da Costa, is here with me. Catherine, another very miserable number again today, the number of people who've died of coronavirus in the last 24 hours, 717. But we look, don't we, every day, every week at the trends in terms of the number of deaths and cases. How do you read this?
Yeah, that's right, because often you see a lag and delay of reporting deaths over weekends. We saw that last weekend, and obviously with this being the bank holiday 4-day weekend, that also could be the case. We had seen numbers doubling every 3.5 days up to last weekend. And if that trend had continued, we could have seen as many as 3,000 deaths today. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. We've seen, as you say, an increase of 717. So it's important not to read too much into daily figures. You have to look at the trends, and figures have started to stabilise. There have been falls in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, just a small increase in England. As I say, that could be down to weekend reporting delays. We'll have to see how the week progresses. But what's interesting is that this week could be crucial, because we're starting to see new cases stabilise and hospital admissions, and the hope is that that will then feed into a fall in the number of deaths. And the hope is that we're approaching the peak, but experts are still warning that this is very much a marathon and not a sprint.
We should bear in mind that these figures are of hospital deaths, and we get weekly figures that include those that happen in the community and also in care homes. And in the last few minutes, Catherine, we've heard news, some very sad news, of a number of deaths that have occurred in a care home. Yes,
that's right. We've heard that 13 residents have now died at a care home in County Durham. This was at Stanley Park care home. And the Regional Director of Care UK has said that they're deeply saddened by what's happened, that they are trying to reassure relatives that they're doing everything that they can to keep the residents safe. The first case had been reported in March when a resident died in hospital. The residents have been living at the care home. They had symptoms that indicate COVID-19, because this individual hadn't actually been tested, but it brings the total there to 13.
And we know that the government is keeping the lockdown under review, and we are expecting something later in the week about where we stand in terms of the lockdown, any potential easing of restrictions, but most people don't think there'll be much change.
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously, today marks 3 weeks of the current lockdown. We're now going into the 4th week. There will be a meeting of SAGE, that's the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, that will happen tomorrow. And the UK government has until Thursday to review the restrictions. But the Welsh government and the Scottish government have already said that they're likely to extend the restrictions for several more weeks. And the UK governments together have said that they will stick together on this. So we're not expecting that the restrictions will be eased anytime soon.
OK. Catherine, many thanks. Our health correspondent, Catherine Da Costa there.